Good morning everybody and welcome to this week's sports podcast. It's Friday the 29th of April 2022. Without further ado, let's get on with stuff because we've got lots to talk about this week. And where else to start than with the European football midweek. Saw some fantastic matches, none more so than the first leg at the Etihad between Manchester City and Real Madrid. 4-3 victory in the end for Manchester City. Well, where do you start with this one? Manchester City looked like they were going to romp away with it when they took an early 2-goal lead, but got to say that they did rude to miss chances probably. Hopefully it won't come back to haunt them in the second leg. I expect the second leg to be very much like the first one. You'll find out on Wednesday next week when they play over in the Barrow. So hopefully they can make it. Liverpool look more settled in their attempts to get to the final. I think they're more likely to be guaranteed a place. There aren't any guarantees, I guess, but they look comfortable beating Villarreal 2-0. They should have had more goals. They had 2 goals disallowed and also 1 hit the post. Villarreal were defending. I don't see how they're going to score more than 1 goal against Liverpool, even at home. But a difficult game. Liverpool won't take them lightly though, because Unai Emery is a very clever manager, especially in the European circles. His only real failure in world football so far has been at Arsenal. Everywhere else he's done really well, and he's a good manager quite clearly. He just didn't get to grips with a job at the Emirates, so it's a shame that. But yeah, hopefully Liverpool and Manchester City will both proceed to the final. Be great to see them face off in Paris on the 28th of May in the final. Fingers crossed that can happen. Elsewhere in Europe, in the Europa League, disappointing result for West Ham at home, losing 2-1 to Eintracht Frankfurt. Frankfurt looked like they'd done the homework on the strengths of West Ham, winning 2-1 last night at the London Stadium. They're not out of it at West Ham. They've proven in the previous rounds they can fight back. They did well against both Sevilla and Lyon, but it'll be a tough task for them now. Rangers lost their first leg at Leipzig by 1-0. Now, what I've got to say about that is that until the 85th minute, Rangers were well in the game, and it was only a fantastic volley from RB Leipzig that won them the match. So I think Rangers will probably feel fairly confident they can overturn that at home. But we'll see, rowed on by the Glasgow fans. It'd be nice to see both teams again get through to the final. Fingers crossed they can do it. I think all games really, apart from maybe the Liverpool one, are sort of like still in the balance in all 3 of the major European club competitions. Leicester drew their game in the European Conference League, 1-1 last night at home with Roma. Again, wily old Jose Mourinho making the best of the conditions to try and slow the game down. Even at 1-1, after Leicester had pulled the game back to 1-1 after conceding a first half goal to Pellegrini. An own goal by Mancini levelled it up, although it could be argued that Lookman scored the goal. It's not been clarified as to... It wasn't clear at the time to say who'd scored, but it's been officially credited to as an own goal now to Mancini for Roma. But you know how crafty he is. Him and Brendan Rodgers are good friends. He's a good coach as Rodgers. Leicester have gone backwards a little bit this season, I feel. They haven't performed at the best, so maybe it might be a clean start for them next summer if we don't make European football. But they'll want to try and win this, to try and make sure they have got a place in Europe next year. They are capable of doing it, but like I said, they've got a lot of experience, and they're taking on the Italian fans and the atmosphere of the Stadio Olimpico in Rome next week. So fingers crossed next Thursday they can do it. All the British teams can do it, so we can have 5 teams out of 6 in the finals. In the other semi-final of the Europa Conference League, Feyenoord beat Marseille 3-2, and it sounds like a very exciting game. It was 2-2 at half time. Early 2-goal lead for Feyenoord, pulled back to 2-2 by Marseille, but they got the winner in the second half for about 60 minutes, did Feyenoord. So that's also in the balance, like I say. So anything can happen in any of these games yet, and next week's game should be really exciting to watch. I'm looking forward to them. Okay, moving away back to the domestic scene in the Premier League, and the battle at the top still rages on between Manchester City and Liverpool. Still 1 point in it between the two teams after Liverpool managed to overcome a stubborn Everton in the Merseyside derby last Sunday. 2-0 victory in the end. Divock Origi coming back to haunt the Toffees again. He only seems to play and score against Everton. He's leaving at the end of the season. For Everton, they'll probably send him a card saying good luck for the future, because they won't have to put up with playing against him again in the future. But yeah, they put up a battle. They were a little bit unlucky not to get a penalty where Everton. They probably should have had a penalty in the second half at the start from Anthony Gordon when he was pushed by, I think it was Matip in the area. But because Gordon's been involved in a few instances this season where he's gone down easily and been booked for diving, I think the referee saw it as a case of the boy who cried wolf and didn't give a genuine penalty. So a bit unlucky there, but to be fair, he didn't really deserve anything out of the game. And they're really in the mire now, battling at the bottom of the table, and we'll come on to that in a moment. Manchester City demolished Watford by 5 goals to 1. And Gabriel Jesus scored 4 goals in that game. He'd only scored 3 league goals before that, but he seems to have hit a good rich vein of form at the moment. He also scored he first scored I think it was the first. Was it the first or the second goal? Second goal. De Bruyne scored the first goal in the Champions League game against Real Madrid. But he's in good form at the moment, so they're going to pursue. I think they'll persevere with him up front in the next few games. They might as well get the best out of him. But yeah, the battle rages on at the top. And this weekend, the first game of the weekend on TV, 12:30 BT Sport. Liverpool are at St James's Park away to Newcastle, who are in really good form at the moment. They've fought their way up the table, looking to climb as high as they can into the top half. And it won't be easy for Liverpool tomorrow. But Manchester City will know how the rivals have performed, and they're at Leeds at 5:30 on Saturday. Yes, tomorrow at 5:30. At Elland Road, a tough game again. That's on Sky Sports. So they have a title contenders playing tomorrow, both live on TV. Then on Sunday we've got a 2 o'clock game, Everton against Chelsea. Chelsea drew 1-1 at Old Trafford last night against Manchester United. The game we should really have won. We had most of the game, lots of the chances, couldn't finish them off. And then a moment of magic from Ronaldo after a great pass by Matic. The only real chance United had, they scored 1-1. They'll be pleased with that result because they didn't perform well at all, and Chelsea will be kicking themselves that they didn't win. I thought Chelsea were poor last weekend. Although they beat West Ham at home 1-0 on Sunday, I thought they performed really poorly. So last night's performance will give them put them a good heart. Lukaku didn't get a good reception, so when he went back to Old Trafford. But he's probably the difference between Chelsea being where they are compared to Liverpool and Manchester City. The goals that scored, 15 or 20 less than the other two teams. Lukaku on a good season would have probably closed that gap, and that would have meant Chelsea to be closer. I'm not saying they beat either of those two teams, but they'd certainly be closer in the title race. But because they picked the game up a little bit last night, you'd expect them to win at Everton on Sunday. It's not good news for them. We'll see what happens on Saturday, because Watford play Burnley. That's a massive game at the bottom there, and Villa play Norwich, so we could see some relegations tomorrow depending on the outside outcomes of those games. But yeah, massive games there. So Everton Chelsea's on TV. It's on Sky. I think it's 2 PM on Sunday. Then the 4:30 game is West Ham against Arsenal. Teams still battling for the 4th place alongside Tottenham and Manchester United. You could argue. Manchester United's game against Brentford is on TV. That's Monday night, 8 o'clock. So there are 5 TV games on Sky or BT this weekend. It's all to play for, both at the top and at the bottom, and for the 4th place. So we'll keep you up to date with what's going on, and I'll update you on what happens in next Friday's podcast. Okay, moving away from the Premier League, we're going to talk about the National League now, and FC Halifax Town have 2 big games this weekend. 4 games to go in the regular season. They look to have more or less guaranteed a playoff spot. It's now a case of where they're going to finish in the playoff in the league table to decide which playoff and where they'll be playing at in the playoffs. So they're hopefully still going to get on course still for 3rd place. It's going to be difficult for them to catch either Stockport or Wrexham, and we'll come on to that in a moment. But Town have got Yeovil at home tomorrow, and then they're away to Eastleigh on Monday. They're going to be looking for at least a minimum of 4 points from those 2 games. Eastleigh have dropped down to 18th. Halifax will be looking probably to win that as well. The problem for tomorrow, and probably for Monday as well, is that they're going to be missing both the main central defenders. Niall Maher's injured, and as is Tom Bradbury, so they'll be big misses for Town. But hopefully the attacking players that we've got and the other defenders we've got who are reliable can perform to the best and get us at least 4 points. Like I say, the reason why I say they might need 6 is because Solihull have got 4 games left. I've looked at their running, they could win all 4 of their games. Notts County are coming strong, as are Grimsby. Chesterfield have faded away a little bit. They're still probably going to make the playoffs, but they're nowhere near where they've forced they were in the season, and it's got to be down to the fact that they're missing Kabongo Shamanga. It's a shame for them, but they're still going to make the playoffs, but they'll be disappointed. In terms of the title picture, Stockport and Wrexham. Wrexham closed the gap to 4 points with a 6-1 win away at Weymouth on Tuesday, which relegated Weymouth. They were 1-0 down in that game with Wrexham, but they fought back and they absolutely destroyed them after that. A week on Sunday, Stockport play Wrexham 12:30 even. I don't know where the posh accent came from there. In what could end up being a title decider now. It looked like Stockport had got it sealed. It's not a great thing for Town because Town played Stockport in their last game of the season, and we were hoping perhaps that Stockport wouldn't have anything to play for. It might give us a bit more of a chance, but it's going to be. It looks like it could be an important game still for both teams. It may even be more important for Stockport than it is for Town. So, but we'll see. But like I say, 4 games to go for most teams now. So I think I've got 5 still. But Town looking at something in that 3rd place and get through to the semi-finals of the playoffs and eventually seal their place in the playoff final at the London Stadium on Sunday the 5th of June. Not the best venue, but we won't go into that here. Okay, moving away from football now, we're going to talk about cricket, and we'll start as we usually do at this time of the year and during the summer with the Halifax Cricket League, an update on the results from last weekend, a look ahead to the fixtures for this forthcoming weekend. Now, in last weekend's game, the outstanding performance definitely came from Lord Chris Metcalf. After, by his own admission, a very poor performance in his first game, he bounced back superbly in Sowerby Bridge's victory. They beat London Foot by 44 runs. Sowerby Bridge 211 all out. Chris scored 69 not out, but it's probably his major contribution was when London Foot battered. They bowled them all out for 167 and Chris took 9 for 44. What a fantastic performance that is. Certainly the performance of the week, and there were some good performances this week elsewhere as well. Bradshaw managed to pick up a victory to keep their unbeaten run going. They managed to see off Sowerby Bridge Church Institute by 3 wickets. 2 notable performances, or 3 notable performances in this game. Of those on the losing side, Tom Woods scored 111, his 2nd consecutive century for SBCI. And for Bradshaw, Mickey Hustler scored an unbeaten half century, scored 53, and Piers Fisher took 5 for 28, and they were both crucial contributions in Bradshaw's victory. And they'll be hoping to keep their run going this weekend when we talk about the big game. We'll come on to that in a moment. Elsewhere, a bit of a surprise, Whalley beat Booth by 25 runs in their game. And in this game we saw a century for Fahim Katana. He scored 103 not out for Whalley. A great performance there. And in defeat, Booth's captain Thomas, he also scored a century, scored 107, but it was in vain on this occasion. So a little bit of a surprise there in that game. But you know, it's early days in the season. Anything can happen at this stage, as you obviously would expect. Copley had a convincing victory over Triangle. They bowled Triangle all out for 91, and they knocked off the runs for the loss of just 4 wickets. The key man here for Copley was Ollie Thorpe. He took 7 for 26, a great performance in that game there. Elsewhere, we had another not so great result for Ivanroyd. They were bowled all out by Illingworth St Mary's for 140, and Illingworth St Mary's knocked them off for a loss of 6 wickets. The key performance here was unbeaten knock by Gaz Fellows. He scored 86 not out when he opened the batting for Illingworth, and that saw them well on their way to victory there. Thornton beat Great Horton Park Chapel. Thornton won by 50 runs effectively because they got 195, and Great Horton Park Chapel could only muster 145 for 8. So Brownie and his boys will be hoping to bounce back this weekend after that slight setback, but they've had a decent start to the season, so I don't think they'll be too downhearted about that. And I think that's about it. I think we've covered all the games for last weekend now. So any other performances I've missed out there, I'm trying to see. I've written some notes down from last week. I think I've covered all the main things there. Apologies if I've missed anybody, but I think I've got all the key performances there. So looking ahead to this weekend's fixtures, Great Horton Park Chapel are at home to Illingworth St Mary's. We've got Ivanroyd against London Foot. We've got SBCI at home to Copley. We've got Triangle at home to Booth. We've got Whalley at home to Thornton, and then the game closest to my heart, we've got Sowerby Bridge at home to Bradshaw. Like I say, Bradshaw will be hoping to keep their unbeaten run going. Sowerby Bridge will be hoping to prove otherwise. So let's have a good clean game, lads, and let's see some great cricket, some good performances, and lots of runs, lots of wickets, and we'll be looking back on it next Friday, hoping it'll seem such a great game. Like I say, elsewhere, Ivanroyd will be looking to get back on track. They've not had the best of starts, but I'm sure Jacob and the boys will be not too downhearted at this stage. Like I say, it's only 2 games in, and they'll be looking to strike back against London, who had a bit of a rough start to the season, shall we say. So that's what's going on in the Halifax Cricket League at the moment. One other mention I'd like to give is a good performance by Gledders. Paul Gledhill scored 119 in his second team performance for Sowerby Bridge. So well done, Gledders. Good performance there, lad. Nice to see you still playing well. Okay, we'll move on now and talk about England, because England have named their new Test cricket captain, and it is not surprisingly Ben Stokes. Ben was the obviously, I think he was a standout candidate. There might have been a few people that had got some question marks about whether he was up to the job mentally, with obviously the things he'd been through with his loss of his father and a few other issues going on in his life in recent times. But he's accepted the job. He's a great cricketer. He's got the right attitude. I think Rob Key will make a good CEO in charge of England. He's got the right character as well. So the other thing they've already discussed, I believe, is the fact that Ben would like to see Jimmy Anderson and Stuart Broad back in the squad, and they are available for selection. So it looks like they may well line up. Key's made the comment that it'll be the first test will see the best 11 available players on the pitch, which is what it should always be in terms of test cricket. When I look at the Test 11, I think that Broad and Anderson should be nailed on alongside Joe Root, Ben Stokes and probably Johnny Bairstow. You could make arguments for a couple more as well, but we have got a tough task on our hands because the opening series of the summer in the Test arena is against New Zealand, the World Test Champions. I'm looking forward to going to the third test, which hopefully will be either a 3-0 victory for England or a deciding test at the end of June. So it'd be good to see some great cricket. It's the first time I've been to a test match. I've been to other matches before heading level, so I've been to World Cup matches, I've been to one-day matches and things like that, but I've not been to a test match before, so I'm looking forward to that. Elsewhere, Yorkshire have started the season pretty well after the first match victory. They managed to draw with Northamptonshire last weekend. They'll be disappointed we didn't manage to see them off. We got 13 points to Northampton's 12, which is a bit unfair reflection of the game really, because Yorkshire were the most dominant team in the game, and they just couldn't bowl them all out on the last day. They've now started the third match at home to Kent. Kent put up a good fight yesterday. They were 270 for 6 at close of day one. Yorkshire were held up a little bit by Daniel Bell Drummond. He scored 109, and then we had a quick fire half century as well from Ollie Robinson. So 270 for 6. I think it was fairly evenly balanced there at the end of day one. Yorkshire will be hoping that they can make the further inroads this morning today, finish them off and then score some good runs again. Harry Brooks made a really good start with the bat this season, and Harris Ralph has made an impact already with the ball, as has Revis as well. He's done well, the young lad. So Yorkshire will be fairly confident in how their season's going so far, and let's hope they can keep it up and pull off a second victory out of 3 county championship matches this weekend. Right, we're finished with the cricket now, and we're going to talk about Speedway. This weekend sees the first round of a Speedway Grand Prix. It'll be a little bit strange this weekend, because obviously the first thing I'm going to point out is the fact that it's the first Grand Prix on Eurosport, on the deal we've got, the FAM have got with Eurosport Discovery. But the main thing is that there'll be no Nigel Pearson, sadly passed away recently, and he'll be the commentator, so it'll be strange him not being there. It'll also be strange not seeing Emil Sayfutinov or Artem Laguta, the defending world champion, unable to defend his championship due to the fact that he's Russian and he's been banned, as has Emil. It's been a few years now since Emil hasn't been in the Grand Prix, so that'll be strange. But it gives a chance to younger riders, another British rider in Dan Bewley, who's a third British rider in the competition now alongside Ty Wuffenden and Robert Lambert. It also gives a chance to Jack Holder from Sheffield, Australia. So I'm interested to see how Dan and Jack get on against the higher level of competition. But they both race regularly in Poland, so we should be used to racing against these top riders, and it'll be interesting, let's say, how we get on. It's in Goričan tomorrow in Croatia. Hopefully it'll be a good meeting. The wild card in that meeting is Matty Zagar, and after that meeting he travels to Belle Vue to make his debut. He's returning to Belle Vue. His signature was announced this week, and he'll make his debut on Monday lunchtime against Peterborough at National Speedway Stadium in their first league match of the season. And the first domestic league match live on TV, also on Eurosport, is on Monday evening when Wolves take on Kings Lynn Stars at Monmouth Green. So that should be something to look forward to as well. So plenty of Speedway action over this weekend. Moving on to stock cars now, we've got 2 meetings this weekend. We've got a qualifying round at Buxton Saturday evening, and then we've got the meeting on Monday at Odsal Bradford. Bookings are still being taken for the meeting on Monday, as the lineup was quite thin when I looked. Buxton wasn't too bad, I think they had 31 or 32, but Bradford only had 25 when I looked last night. So maybe some of the drivers are going to wait to see what damage they get from Buxton. It doesn't really matter, does it? It's tarmac, but I don't know if it's because there's an outside interest affecting whether they turn up or not, or whether it's down to the fuel cost and price, crisis as to whether they can afford to travel and fill the transporters up. So we'll see. But Bradford, it's not a championship qualifying round. Hopefully we'll see better turnouts. The next meeting is a qualifying round at the end of May, and they've got the British Championship at the end of June, so there are two big meetings coming up. So let's get behind your Stokes, my new promoters at Oddsall, and let's see if we can get some better turnouts. The crowds have been encouraging, so there's no issue there. It's just the drivers haven't been turning up. So, and before the meeting is also I think there's going to be a F1 drivers versus mini stocks football match. That'll be interesting. It sounds like it's going to be men against boys, but yeah, could be interesting. Half-hour game before the start. The meeting, I think the racing starts at 5:30, but that's kicking off at 5 o'clock. So something to look forward to if you enjoy football and stock cars, perhaps. Okay, next on the agenda, Rugby League, and Halifax Panthers had a good victory last Sunday at home to Barrow. They beat them by 40 points to 18. They're starting to climb the table now. We're up to 7th. And they've got another tough game this weekend. They're away to Newcastle Thunder at Kingston Park. That won't be easy. They're doing okay as well. Featherstone are still top of the table. They beat Bradford Bulls in a live TV game on Monday night. So I think they've dropped just 1 point in the draw. I think it was against Barrow, actually. So, yeah, that's where we are with the Rugby League and the Championship. I'll cover the Super League more next week. Darts, last night saw night 12 of the Premier League, and it was a victory for James Wade. He beat Johnny Clayton in the final. James Wade had his highest ever average in a match in the semi-final when he destroyed Gerwin Price by 6 legs to 1. I've already beaten Michael van Gerwen in the first match by 6 legs to 5, so a deserved victory for James. It's the second night he's won this so far this season. Johnny Clayton, by getting to final, kept himself at the top of the table. He's got 29 points, 4 points clear of both Michael van Gerwen and James Wade. Wade plays Clayton again in the first match next week. Last night was in Dublin. Next Thursday is in Glasgow. So something to look forward to there for all you darts fans. And it's getting to sort of the quarter climax now. We're on night 13 next week out of 17. So yeah, not too far away from the main event now there in the playoffs and the final. And finally, before we go today, just want to mention that for NFL fans, the NFL draft's taking place at the moment. Night 1 last night in Las Vegas. I saw a little bit of it on the headlines this morning. The big news from that was that the Jags picked Trayvon Walker as the first pick. I think he's a linebacker. Somebody will correct me if I'm wrong there. But he's the man who was picked first. It was interesting to me to see the Khans, both father and son. Tony was there. Obviously, my interest in wrestling means I know all about him, his involvement and ownership of AEW and Ring of Honor. But yeah, they were both there, and I saw him made the pick. Ice Cube was there as well. So it's a big thing, all the glitz and glamour as you'd expect for it being in Las Vegas. But night 2 or 3 is tonight. You can watch that if you're interested. It's on Sky Sports. I think from midnight they said the coverage started. So yeah, just thought I'd give a shout out there. I think that covers it all for this week. So there was a lot to get through there. So thanks for watching as always. Thanks for your support. The sport's been really good again recently. And I hope to be back next week with an update for you on everything that happens over this week and the forthcoming midweek, where there should be some exciting action, especially in the football. So until then, it's goodbye from me. Have a good week.